Canned food is the ultimate paradox of the modern pantry. It is heralded for its shelf life and affordability, yet it is often the primary vehicle for high-level chemical exposure and metabolic disruption. In 2026, the stakes have shifted. We are no longer just looking at salt content. We are battling forever chemicals, PFAS, BPA-leaching linings, and the fallout of massive manufacturing defects that led to significant recalls this year. Quick favor before we move on. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 92% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So did you subscribe already? Great. Thank you so much for your support. Now back to the video. Based on the 2026 Human Foods Program priorities and recent safety alerts, here are 8 U.S. canned food brands you should consider striking from your shopping list. 1. Genova Tuna. Why number 1? A massive 2025 to 2026 distribution failure has led to renewed warnings about botulism risks. The Genova brand, particularly its yellowfin tuna and olive oil, has been at the center of a distribution mishap in early 2026. After a February 2025 recall for faulty, easy-open lids that could compromise the airtight seal, a third-party distributor inadvertently released quarantine stock back into stores in January 2026. The risk: compromised lids can allow the growth of Clostridium botulinum, the bacteria responsible for botulism, a rare but potentially fatal form of food poisoning. If you have Genova cans in your pantry, check for codes S84N or S88N immediately. 2. Market Pantry, Target Private Label. Why number 2? Consistently flagged for the use of BPA-based linings and high-sodium flavor enhancers. Target's budget line, Market Pantry, has lagged behind its Good and Gather sibling in terms of packaging modernization. In 2026, health watchdogs have noted that Market Pantry canned vegetables and soups still frequently utilize BPA, bisphenol A, in their epoxy linings. BPA is an endocrine disruptor linked to hormonal imbalances and reproductive issues. When combined with the high sodium levels used to preserve these budget-tier items, the cumulative metabolic load is significant. 3. Hormel Dinty-Moore/Chili. Why number 3? A worst player in chemical transparency with excessive saturated fat and sodium profiles. Hormel products like Dinty-Moore Stew and Hormel Chili are staple ready-to-heat meals, but they are nutritional minefields. A single can often exceed the daily recommended intake for saturated fat and sodium for an adult. Furthermore, Hormel has been repeatedly criticized by the Environmental Working Group, EWG, for a lack of transparency regarding the transition away from BPA and BPS linings in their meat-heavy canned goods. For Campbell's Classic Red Label Soups. Why number 4? Despite pledges to move to BPA-free linings, the Classic line remains a high-sodium, ultra-processed staple. While Campbell's has successfully transitioned many of its premium lines to safer packaging, the classic condensed soups, like cream of mushroom or tomato, are still under scrutiny in 2026 for their ultra-processed status. These soups often contain high-fructose corn syrup and MSG, which trigger insulin spikes and inflammatory responses. In 2026, health authorities classify these more as savory liquid confectionery than actual meals. 5. Del Monte Canned Fruit in Heavy Syrup. Why number 5? The combination of high heat processing and industrial sugar syrups destroys the fruit's nutritional value. Del Monte is a giant in the produce aisle, but their fruit medleys and peaches packed in heavy syrup are legally closer to dessert than fruit. The canning process already strips away water-soluble vitamins like vitamin C, replacing them with a syrup that contains upwards of 40 grams of sugar per serving turns a healthy snack into a driver of fatty liver disease. 6. Bush's Best Baked Beans. Why number 6? Hidden sugars and natural flavors that mask low-grade additives. Bush's is the undisputed king of beans, but their baked beans varieties are notorious for high sugar content, often using bacon fat, brown sugar, and corn syrup as primary ingredients. In 2026, as consumers move toward clean label foods, Bush's has been flagged for its continued use of natural flavors that often hide chemical stabilizers used to keep the beans from turning to mush under high heat sterilization. 7. Van Camp's pork and beans. Why number 7? Deceptive marketing regarding meat, content, and the use of BPA-aligned cans. Van Camp's is often the cheapest option on the shelf, but you get what you pay for. The pork in pork and beans is frequently a single, marble-sized piece of fat, providing no protein while adding saturated fat. Furthermore, Van Camp's was included in the 2025/2026 faulty lid alerts along with Genova, suggesting a systemic manufacturing vulnerability in their budget PA. 8. Great value, Walmart private label. Why number 8? The highest risk of foreign object contamination and inconsistent chemical sourcing. Walmart's great value canned goods are produced by various third-party manufacturers, like Del Monte and Conagra, making quality control inconsistent. In early 2025 and 2026, great value canned green beans were recalled for foreign object contamination. Because they prioritize the lowest possible price point, their supply chain is more susceptible to economic adulteration, where lower quality ingredients or cheaper, more toxic can liners are used to protect profit margins. The 2026 Clean Can Standard. If you are looking for canned goods that won't compromise your health, the 2026 Gold Standard involves 3 specific checks. BPA/BPS-free label. Ensure the can explicitly states it is free of bisphenol. Low sodium. Under 140 milligrams, this ensures the product relies on the quality of the food rather than salt for flavor. Non-GMO project verified. This reduces the likelihood of glyphosate, Roundup, residues in crops like corn and beans. The convenience of canned food should never outweigh the long-term cost of chemical exposure. In 2026, as the FDA ramps up its post-market safety reviews of food chemicals like phthalates and BHA, it is becoming clear that the old way of canning, prioritizing shelf life above all else, is no longer acceptable. Brands like Genova and Hormel represent a legacy of industrial shortcuts that can lead to acute safety risks or chronic metabolic issues. By switching to transparent, BPA-free brands like Amy's Kitchen or Sprouts Farmers Market, you can keep the convenience of a stocked pantry without the toxic baggage. The final verdict on canned goods in 2026. The landscape of canned food in 2026 is no longer just about sodium. It's about a direct conflict between industrial convenience and biological safety. As the FDA's Human Foods Program shifts into high gear this year, the focus has moved toward the unseen dangers, the leaching of phthalates, the persistence of PFAS in seafood, and the dangerous manufacturing lapses seen with brands like Genova. When a third-party distributor inadvertently releases quarantined product associated with a botulism risk, it signals a systemic failure in the budget supply chain that should give every shopper pause. Ultimately, your pantry should be a source of security, not a collection of chemical risks. By avoiding brands that rely on legacy BPA linings or those recently flagged for foreign object contamination, you reduce your cumulative toxic load. As we move further into 2026, the era of the blind buy is over. Prioritizing transparency, checking for specific lot codes, and opting for brands that lead with safety over savings is the only way to ensure your quick meal doesn't come with a lifelong health cost.